Dak Prescott, the quarterback, the franchise quarterback who we've been talking about on Nothing Personal all offseason because he and Jerry Jones could not come to an agreement on a long-term deal. Dak Prescott ended up getting franchise tagged, a concept we explained on previous shows. It means he had a one-year deal at $30 million plus. Dak Prescott is leading the Cowboys while they were off to a horrible start. Should have been 0-4, but they're 1-3. Dak Prescott was having a historic start to the season. I want to say 450 yards plus each game. That could be wrong, but it feels like something I read. But either way, franchise quarterback gets tackled, and all of a sudden, I'm watching because the games, the NBA game and the ALCS had not yet started. About 6.5 minutes left in the third quarter. And every play in football, when there's a tackle, you scratch your head and wonder, how is that person not in the hospital? If I got hit like that, I'd be dead. Dak Prescott got hit, and all of a sudden he's down, and the camera is showing his leg, and it did not look right. It was a Joe Theismann tackle, not as fierce as the Lawrence Taylor tackle on Joe Theismann, but the result was the same. Dak Prescott has a compound dislocated fracture in his ankle. When CBS realized the seriousness of the injury, in the beginning they didn't. They thought maybe he just was down. Maybe he was tired. When they realized and they looked at the tape and showed it, all of a sudden, the ambulance cart comes on the field. They showed Jerry Jones gasping. They showed Jason Garrett, his former head coach, now the offensive coordinator of the team they were playing, running on the field. Mike McCarthy, masked, going on the field. Cowboys players one at a time, taking a knee, praying. Dak Prescott's ankle required immediate surgery Sunday night. Successful surgery. And the question is, what does this mean for Dak Prescott's career? What does it mean for future NFL players when they are offered guaranteed money? What does it mean to owners who dish out contracts and add guaranteed money when, in fact, they don't need to because NFL contracts are not guaranteed? Let's talk about the business of this injury because there is a significant story here. You're allowed to franchise tag a player 2 times. Next year, Dak Prescott would be eligible for another tag, which would be a raise over the $30 million he's making this year. If you're Jerry Jones, you're definitely not signing Dak Prescott to a long-term deal now. You have to really ask yourself whether you're going to tag him and pay him at all. If you don't tag him, he could become a free agent. Andy Dalton, their backup quarterback who played for the Bengals, is not a number one, not a quarterback to lead the Dallas Cowboys back to the Super Bowl for the first time in 25 years. But will Dak Prescott return from this injury to become and be the player he was? Everyone's saying the right things. The doctors, Jerry Jones, his teammates. Jerry Jones had a statement that was extremely telling in what it didn't say. He talked about how heartbroken he feels for Dak and how disappointing the injury is. He talks about how he knows Dak very well and he knows the personal hardship and strife, referring to what happened during COVID with the loss of his brother. Remember the whole Skip Bayless thing with Dak we talked about a few weeks ago, where Skip Bayless was making fun of Dak Prescott, telling him to focus on the field. Jerry Jones talked about how prepared Dak was every game. Talked about his toughness, mental, emotional toughness. Talked about that Dak Prescott will respond and recover from this challenge. Talked about what an inspiration he is. Talked about he has no doubt that he'll return to the position of leadership and purpose that he brings to our team. What didn't he talk about? He didn't talk about whether he's going to pay him $37.6 million on a one-year franchise tag next year. He didn't talk about whether or not he still believes that Dak Prescott is his quarterback of the future. That would be a simple sentence to put in a statement like this. We have built this team around Dak, and we will be here when he's back because he will lead our team into the future. Why didn't Jerry Jones say that? Because there is no way to guarantee that that is the case. None. If you are an owner of a team, you cannot sign him long-term. If you're Dak Prescott, you know very well what's in your head. You know that you turned down, which he did. He turned it down. A $34.5 million AAV over 5 years with over $100 million guaranteed. He turned it down. He wanted more. Is he worth more? Not relevant to me. Did he deserve more? Not important. The reality is that football players are not guaranteed the next play. You can say the same thing about baseball. You can get hit in the face with a baseball. Yes, you can. That's how we got Giancarlo Stanton to sign a long-term deal. It is rare that position players get an injury where they're out or their career trajectory changes. Pitchers, it happens. One pitch away from Tommy John, one pitch away from a torn labrum. Football is way more common to have career-altering injuries. When you are offered guaranteed money, you have got to take it. And you take a discount because by definition in football, the guarantee of performance does not exist to the level it does in the other sports. Therefore, you are going to have to take a discount, not a premium. And what Dak always felt is he deserved a premium for being the top 1 or 2 quarterback, just slot in maybe right below Patrick Mahomes. Now, he got his 1-year franchise tag, and I don't think he's going to get another one. I don't think that Dallas can afford to have $37.6 million if it's cap used on a player where there is no certainty. Now, people are saying he's back next year. Everything will be good. When you're the owner of a team, you can't take the word of the doctor. You have to look at the player and you have to see the player perform and proof of health before you sign a deal with a player, even a franchise tag 1-year deal. You cannot take $37 million of cap space on a hope and a prayer. The risk tolerance calculation that NFL players have used in the past has got to change. The numbers have gotten to the point where if you're in a position to grab some guaranteed money, you got to do it. NFL owners will take advantage of this imbalance in risk tolerance because Jerry Jones, once the anger, disappointment, and frustration wears off, which it will in the coming days, he will look to his GM and he will say, Jerry, I'm glad I didn't give you permission to increase your offer to Dak, and I'm glad he's not signed. The GM, Jerry, will look at Jerry and say, Jerry, we're better with Dak, but we don't know if Dak is going to be Dak. So if I were the owner, Jerry, I may move on and change the makeup of this team. Jerry and Jerry will be having a lot of meetings in the coming months as they figure out what to do. But you heard it here on Nothing Personal that the risk tolerance for owner Jerry and GM Jerry has now changed.